Hello all and welcome into this pre-season race here in Mexico. You're joined by me, WHF, out for 36 laps after this short qualifying session. We're on board with the newcomer of Sluskarn, but Zampa, who we have seen multiple times this season, has already crashed somehow before the stream even started. But anyway, welcome in everyone. Hope we're all doing well. And let me get up the I'm trying to work out where messages are coming from. But welcome in everyone. Hope you're doing well on this Saturday evening. The WHF is close to returning as Zampa's left the session. Or maybe Zampa's having some issue. Try and get Zampa back in again if he's able to. But Sluskarn with a 17-1 first driver around. We'll see go on board with Hemi Dimes, who's actually got a Williams in his way. Could be Northey or Ellis, as Gordon does a 15-7. Hemi gonna come in there. Gordon, one of the favourites for Season 6, along with Hemi Dimes, another one of the favourites. AMS Apple as well, a very quick driver. But we will have to see as time progresses who will be the drivers to watch. Oscar Pat. Franz Hermann with a 16-1 up there. Oxer Patisserie? Welcome in, Lanky. Yes, there is space if you want to hop on. You're happy to join. I'll try and see. Let's try and get Lanky in if we can. I've given you an invite, Lanky. Just join whenever you can. Still a couple spots left. All 8 with a P4. But good to see some of the newcomers as A54 comes across the line in the Red Bull up to P10. Yes, Rio, there is space. We'll get you into the lobby as well. Where is Rio going? Also, Haters, one of the former SSR champions. Great to see him back. And Haters says before the race that may need to watch out for track limits. And hopefully we don't. Hopefully the drivers can avoid track limits, but it's pre-season, so it doesn't really matter too much. This is all just for fun. But if you can keep within the track limits, it'll surely help you on your laps. As Haters now flying through the middle sector. The driver of Hispanic heritage. I actually don't know where Haters is actually his family's from. But I know he speaks Spanish, that's all I know. He's from Florida. But Haters now. Oh my god, Top Gun! I have not heard that name in a long while. Welcome in, Top Gun. Top Gun was former runner-up back in early WHF days. Might have been WHF Season 1. As Kevin Cal's joined as well. We might have a full lobby very shortly. As Haters. Who's the P4? What a lap from the old SSR champion. But Gordon laying down the gauntlet with a 15-7. Could Gordon be one of the favourites for the title here in Tier 1 next season? We've got El Prat, aka Fakiri, on a lap here in the Red Bull. Yeah, long time no see, Top Gun. It's great to have you in. Hope Top Gun, if at any point you want to come back and race, you can. As Oxar History, unfortunately, he's left the session, but we'll stay on board with Fakiri's lap and then try and get Oxar back in again. Not sure if I have Oxar added. But Franz Hermann, another newcomer, looking very quick out there. And Fakiri, the 16-1. That's a beautiful lap. Fakiri with a new wheel, and he's showing what he can do on that new wheel. What a lap there from Fakiri. That is beautiful. But we've now got a full grid. Rio is joined. Kevin Kell is joined. Lanky is joined as well. We've got all 20 drivers. Love to see it in this pre-season race. Schlosskorn out on a lap here in the Mercedes. And we'll see what he can do. Currently has a 17-1 just behind Thori. But I'll be honest, I was doing some practice here and on wheel, which I've just got. This final sector is so difficult. It really is really difficult to try and get used to. You gotta be so easy on the brake, and it's so easy to lock up. Very tricky, but Schlosskorn's navigated it well, and round to the final corner, and where can he go in the Mercedes? Up to P4, that's a beautiful lap from the Mercedes driver. Scones, the lobby's full, so I am not racing. As we've got Kelly Cannell on a lap, Dave as well on a lap, although he's actually on an in lap. As, oh, that was Ellis around in the grass. Ellis, you need to get in the right direction before it disqualifies you. As he's kind of blocked the lap of Hemi Dimes, but oh well. Yes, Scones, I'm just still learning how to drive wheel. It's going to take me a while, I can already tell. But there's some minor adjustments I need to make. Although it's a bit of a two-person job. But once I get it going, I'll be practicing like flat. But Hemi Dimes doesn't need practice. It's 7 AM on Australian. Young Hemi Dimes is absolutely flooring it. Another one of the title contenders next season, along with Gordon. That's alright, Top Gun. If you ever do want to join, if you ever find the time, we will be here. But Hemi Dimes now rounding the final corner. Where can he go as he comes up to the line? It's a 15-2. 15-2 for Hemi Dimes as AMS Apple invalid. Would love to see what the AMS driver has in store as he's overtaken a Mercedes into the pit lane. Yeah, Top Gun. Top Gun, if you're listening, sign-ups close in 1 week, so you have a week to try and get your sign-ups in if you do want back in the league. We're actually not far off 3 tiers. If we got a couple more drivers in, we could realistically do 3 tiers. I mean, you'd want a bit more, but anyway. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell, Tier 1 Constructor Champion. Yeah, GT Omega, they don't help you at all. You gotta work it all out yourself. Oh, but Kevin with invalidation there. We'll stay on board with Rio Harris. Before the start of last season, Rio dominantly won a social race in Singapore. One of his favourite tracks. As Gordon moves up to... Well, he stays P2, but improves by 3/10 with a 15-4. I feel like Hemi Dimes and Gordon are going to be the 2 championship protagonists this season here in WHF Tier 1. Unless the likes of AMS Apple could challenge. I bet AMS Apple does have some time left in the bag. Meanwhile, Rio, definitely a very quick driver. He could be a threat here today as well in Mexico. Tier 1 commentator all of last season. Well, the majority of last season. And unfortunately, I've taken his job because I've got a new wheel and now I'm moving down to Tier 2. So Rio will be Tier 2 commentator for next season. But that's only because we can't commentate in the same race as Rio up to the line. 3 thousandths ahead of Gordon. And you'd like to say, if Rio did want to race He would definitely be one of the championship favourites up there. That top three, very close. Yes, Scones, I am. As Lanky on a lap here. Lanky had a decent enough season last year. I'm trying to remember where Lanky finished. Oh, there's Oscar Patisserie is back in again. As Ollie up to P4 with a 15.9. But let's see who else is on the lap. AMS Apple. Would really like to see him show what he can do. Scones, there's a difference between having the knowledge and having the, like, physical capabilities of to speak to your brain, telling your brain, here, feet, do what your fingers have been doing for the last 5 years. Rio says, debating if I start at the back. Just race, just have fun. We have fun, do whatever you like. But AMS Apple currently in the Haas. We know many AMS drivers have a lot of pace on, especially on last game. On this game, AMS and some of the competitions that I've covered haven't been quick, haven't been winning at least. Last season, or last game, they dominated a couple competitions. Meanwhile, AMS Apple could go quickest here as he comes up to the line. It's a 14.5, and that just shows you how quick the AMS drivers are. Clears young Himmy Dimes by 7/10. AMS Apple, dominant lap on his first lap. That just shows you the pace AMS drivers have. Although in the likes of EOR, F4S, RRS, haven't really seen them be as dominant as they were on last game, unfortunately. But I'm sure AMS, with the likes of AMS Apple at the helm, can return to former glory. As Kevin Kell, up to the line in the Alpine, goes to P6. As Sloskarn on a lap here in the Mercedes, currently P10. Through the final sector he goes, and currently he was up by a 10th heading in to the exit of sector 2, but as he rounds the final corner, what can he get up to P8? Just gets ahead of Franz Hermann in P9. We've got Oxer Patisserie, which is going to take me so long to learn how to pronounce that name, as Hemi has left the track at turn 1. Hemi, is he trying to disqualify himself? He is. That was weird. As Kevin, don't know what he's doing. Anyway, who were we on board with there again? As Hemi down to the back after being disqualified. I'm guessing Ryu's going to do the same thing. As Oxer on board we are with P10 currently. And where can the McLaren go as he rounds the final corner? And coming up to the line, into P7 he goes 2 thousandths out of Sloskarn. That just shows you how close they are there. Sloskarn won't be able to improve here. Meanwhile, Dave moves up to P11. We've got A54 on a lap. Thori on a lap as well. Ellis leading him ahead as Rio, where's he? He's in the middle sector, absolutely flying. Gonna look to challenge AMS Apple here, who's on a out lap as Rio goes wide. Somehow gets away with it though. And Rio going to try and improve here to try and close to AMS Apple currently with a 14.5 as Rio up to the line gets a 14.8, 3/10 off AMS Apple. As Ollie starting a lap, we'll see anyone close to finishing a lap. A lot of traffic in this final sector here. As A54 gets out of the way, Rio gets disqualified as expected. As Northie starting a lap, but he's got a car right behind him. Ooh, what was that? That was weird. As Lanky overtaking Northie on this lap. But I think we'll follow Ollie in the middle sector. He's up by a 10th. And we'll see what Ollie can do on this go-round. As Scone says, Apple win confirmed in. Yeah, probably. Oh, Ollie was very deep into the final sector here. As El Pratt up to P3 with a 15.7. Very good lap there from Fakiri. As who was that jumped up? It was Kelly Cannell into P6. Good lap from him. As Rio says to say, I almost murdered people. That's why you don't disqualify yourself. As AMS Apple flying through the middle sector, currently on pole with a 14.5. And the gap would be a bit closer if Rio and Hemi hadn't disqualified themselves. But now AMS Apple's going to make it look a bit embarrassing if he doesn't intentionally miss the corner, and maybe he's going to try and disqualify himself as well. Who knows? As Lanky running the final corner, Gordon does a 15.1. AMS Apple just going to come in. As Northie Invalids won't be improving there, but it's AMS Apple on pole, and he's going to disqualify himself as well? I'm guessing so. Gordon's going to start from pole if Apple doesn't move. Yep, there you are, Gordon on pole. I just had a feeling that was going to happen, and there you go. Anyway, bottle that final lap was 2/10 up. You know what? It wouldn't have mattered anyway, Apple, because Rio disqualified himself, even though Rio was 3/10 back from you. So the pole was in the bag anyway. But Gordon now will start from pole, but I think the battle is realistically between Apple, Hemi, and Rio. Also, thank you for the follow, Apple. Welcome in to We Have Fun F1. Gordon gets on pole by 6/10, but in reality, he would have probably been P3 or P4 because of the whole three quickest drivers disqualifying themselves just for bans. But I would say a fantastic lap from El Prat there on his new wheel. El Prat, we may have to move you up a tier. Well, you know, we may have to, you know, you know. Anyway, hopefully Ollie tells people to ready up at the correct time. While we do that, I will put the right sound alerts on, because I just realised I didn't have the right sound alerts on. Where are we? Sound alerts. Here we are. Boom. Okay. And then let me get the chat back up again, so I can see what everyone's saying. But, no Apple, we're normally racing on Sunday. Saturday is Tier 2, Tier 1 is Sunday, so if you are racing Tier 1, you'll be racing on Sunday at 8 PM UK time. Last season's champion was Cookie, and he dominated pretty much as... just wait, Rio. Ollie will ready up. Just wait for Ollie to ready up. You don't need to ready up. But Cookie dominated like no one else. And what's hilarious about Cookie is even though Pad is not OP on this game, Cookie is still somehow inevitable. He is the Thanos of WHF, 5-time champion, only beaten by Nasev last season. Nasev was the Cookie Destroyer, the Cookie Monster, whatever you want to say. Thank you for the follow, Phase Synergy. Yes, Rio, Cookie's on controller, and that's that's why everyone's so baffled. And if you think he's hacking, unfortunately he's not, because he was that quick on Xbox as well. So if Cookie is hacking, then maybe he's got a Zen or something. I don't know. But anyway, the drivers should be ready up in 1 minute's time. Get your predictions. Who do you think is going to win? Will it be JG, aka Jason Gordon, starting from pole, or will it be AMS Apple, Rio Harris, or Young Hemi Dimes, who've all disqualified themselves and are starting at the back and are trying to cut their way through the field? We will see. But I would love to see AMS Apple versus Cookie, but is Cookie returning? We would all love to see a Cookie return. And I know Cookie dominance sometimes can bore fans, but you know, at least I'm not racing him next season, lads. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about that. But for those of you watching, the sign-ups close next week, so if you do want to join the Discord, the link is in the bio, but we will have the formation lap to get a look at the tyres, and we're testing out the formation lap for this season. We've had the formation lap off for some seasons. Gordon going to start in the hards, Haters always making the wrong call starting on the softs, everyone else on the mediums. But what can the drivers do, we will see. Looking forward to this one. I would have liked to have raced, but unfortunately I'm just not good enough with wheel yet. You know what I should have done is I should have got the track map up while we waited. I mean, while we do wait, I will get the track map up, so I can mention what corner this is that I'm on about. It is Turn 13. Turn 13, it's in Sector 3, that sharp left-hander. I just don't know how to brake in that currently on wheel. On pad, I'm okay, but on wheel, I just can't do it. But, hey, that's the beauty of learning wheel, is you just gotta get better at it over time. And we have the likes of Gordon, Apple, Harris, and Young Hemi Dimes all on wheel. I'm trying to realise, is anyone on pad who's quick? I think Ollie's on pad, and Kevin Kell might be on pad as well. But that's why Cookie is not human, because he's somehow as quick as people on wheel on this game, yet he's on pad. But wheel on this game is definitely OP, but for some reason Cookie is immune to the wheel OP on this game. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. We'll see the drivers line up as El Pratt will start in P2. Very strong qualifying. We'll see how he races. And could El Pratt on his new wheel potentially be moving up to Tier 1? We'll have to keep an eye out as the drivers form up. As Sluskarn misses his box. What, Ellis? How have you crashed? Oh, on the formation lap. This is embarrassing. Oh my god, and he's missed his pit box as well. Or has he? I don't know. Dear lord. Zampa's missed his pit box. Apple's in his pit box. Everyone's good to go, as we will have the 5 red lights on here in Mexico, as Zampa's played the coffin dance as we all get started, but hopefully there is no coffin dance on the start, as we seem to have gotten away well, And Gordon leads us down into turn 1 with El Prat on the inside already. As they fight into turn 1. Gordon round the outside gets through. Ollie round the outside gets through. A lot of cars everywhere through turn 1 and 2 as the Red Bull gets caught up of El Prat. He's down the order. He's got damage. A yellow flag out. That's the Mercedes around the Slush card. As Haters battling on the rear of El Prat from P2 down. Oh, and Haters almost into the rear of the Alpine. El Prat down as Northy out of the session. Not quite sure what's happened with Northy. He's smashed before turn 4 there. As Apple already up to P9. That's impressive as Haters makes a little mistake. Oh, and there were 3 wide. That's not what you do as Haters just decides, I don't want to give up that position. And AMS Apple now going to get through on Haters after, I'm sure he's got an illegal overtake for that move. And also gets a 3-second time penalty. He did warn us that that is something that's going to happen. As, oh, down the inside goes the Cyber of Rio Harris. Brave on the brakes. As Dave leaves the track and keeps that position. Picking up a 3-second time penalty for doing so as well. And Rio now going to blow past the Haas driver down the main straight. Meanwhile, Hemi Dimes still down in P17. Hemi struggled off the start here. He's not got the gains that Rio and AMS Apple have had. As Rio now going to get to the inside of Haters. Side by side they go. Rio going to try and find a way through. As Haters still side by side with Rio, but Rio gets through. As on the rear goes Dave, and Dave has just punted Haters around. That's interesting. And Haters around at the exit of turn 3 there. As Ollie and Piastri battle. Kevin Kell getting through as Franz Herrmann getting punchy on the inside as well. And Franz picking up a 3-second time penalty as we go on board with him, but not quite sure what happened with Oxer Piastri as Ellis is around. He's struggling on the restart, just has no grip it seems as AMS Apple gets through, exiting the middle sector on. Oh, and that's AMS Apple, clips the rear, and around goes AMS Apple, clips the rear, and down the order he goes, just too heavy on the brakes, and that's allowed Rio Harris through as Kelly Cannell on the rear of Franz Herrmann. Oxer Patistri loses out as we go 3 wide down the main straight. Rio on the inside of El Prat and Kelly Cannell, and Rio gets through in a P6 as another yellow flag out, not quite sure who for, as Kelly Cannell loses out to El Prat, who unfortunately with damage here gonna have to manage it, but doing very well on his new wheel regardless. Had a very strong qualifying there.
Hello there.
But we're only on lap 3. Thank you for the follow, LTJ Northy, who unfortunately retired there at turn 4. We really missed what happened there. As Ellis around again. Ellis struggling for grip here in Mexico. As Ollie now still following along Gordon. Gordon started on the hard tyres. He's going to look to go a bit longer. As Ollie now, and unfortunately both LTJ family members out of the session. As Ollie trying to hold on to DRS from Gordon. As who's that around? It's Kelly Cannell and Dave out. Dave out. As Kelly Cannell exits the S section. And Dave's car is spinning. That's a bit strange. But VSC out. As we missed what happened there with Dave and Kelly Cannell there. But who's going to come into the pit lane? El Prat will certainly come into the pit lane. I feel like Ledgeman's missed a boat or an opportunity there. But Ollie now with that VSC as he lost DRS as Rio and Oxer Patistri are battling. This is strange. Oh, it's the retired car of Ellis is causing a bit of havoc. Ooh. It's really getting in the way under this long VSC. This is a very long VSC. But when will it go green, we will see. As 2 drivers with drive-throughs. It was Thori as Gordon. What's happened, Gordon? Gordon's made a big error that has allowed Ollie onto his rear. Maybe had to get very checked up under that VSC. It's Thori in A54 with drive-throughs Ollie almost making a move on JG, who had made a mistake there. Onto that VSC, must have gone for the break as Franz Hermann's around, spins through the S's, and Franz Hermann down the order. As Rio Harris now on the rear of Oxer Patisserie. Hemi Dimes now up to P7 after A54. Maybe having to come together there as Lanky and A54, bit of contact between them. AMS Apple trying to bide his time here as he's going to get through on the Red Bull. Oh, contact between him and A54. AMS Apple now on the rear as Kevin Cal getting through on Ollie into turn 1. As so many moves here, Rio gets ahead. AMS Apple getting ahead as well. As Hemi now on the rear of Thori goes a little deep. Ollie back on the rear of Kevin Cal. Rio almost in DRS from Ollie. And already on lap 5, the drivers who disqualified themselves in quali are almost caught up already. Meanwhile, A54 on the outside of Lanky. Side by side they go. As A54 later on the brakes gets ahead. Lanky going to look for the up and under as he's going to try and dive it through on the inside. Lanky, oh, bit of contact with the side pod as Lanky and A54 hold it together, but A54 are going to keep it ahead, and Ayub keeps P9 there. Meanwhile, Hemi holding on to the rear of Thori. As Thori now just letting Hemi Dimes go. Doesn't want any battles with him. As Lanky back on the rear of Ayub, trying to fight his way through. Yellow flag around. It's AMS Apple. Again, AMS Apple in the wall. No front wing. It's completely knocked off. And AMS Apple having a nightmare race on debut here in WHF. Meanwhile, Rio gonna charge down the inside of Ollie and get straight on through with DRS. Despite Ollie having DRS as well. Ollie looks on the inside of Rio. Brave send from Ollie down the inside. As Rio gonna keep it ahead now, but Ollie trying to get back through again on the Sauber. But what a strong race it's been from the Sauber so far. As Northy says, who hit me off? And honestly, Northy, I don't even know. I missed it, unfortunately. But AMS Apple now, he's gonna have clear to use on his fresh hards as the yellow flag's out for... I'm not quite sure who that was for, but either way, El Prat is there. Excuse me, as Kevin struggling with Rio in behind. The rear's really stepping out on that Alpine, and Rio is going to really manage and just play it calmly. Doesn't want to push too hard here, just wants to ease up to the back of Kevin and then use DRS to blow by the Alpine here. Rio now with DRS back down the main straight again. And Rio into P2. He'll set his sights after Gordon as Hemi Dimes gets ahead of Oxer Patisserie. As Oxer in his debut doing pretty well here in the McLaren. As Ollie on the rear of Kevin Cal. Kevin Cal already lost that second window to Rio. Does Rio have enough pace on the mediums to catch Gordon here, we will see? Or can Gordon keep pulling a gap on those hard tyres? Considering how much ground Rio's made this race, you would have to think maybe Rio might have pace left in the tank to catch Gordon here. He's got so much pace in this Sauber. As Hemi Dimes going to get ahead of Ollie. Ollie may have let him through there. Or Ollie may have made a mistake because he's fallen a good 2 seconds off Kevin Cal now. I think a mistake from Ollie as Kevin Cal comes in now. Both Ferraris continue onwards as Franz Hermann picking up a 3-second time penalty as A54 losing out to Franz Hermann there. And Franz into P11 now. As A54 seems to make another mistake out of the S's section there. But a really mixed field here at the moment. No battles Currently, it's El Prat and Thori. El Prat now on the fresher hards with his new front wing, making his way up to P9. Can he work his way back up to the front as Haters picks up another time penalty? As A54 into the box, AMS Apple sets the fastest lap of the race. He's going to pick the outside of Kelly Cannell. Meanwhile, Rio Harris, man to watch here. He's on mediums that at this point in the race should be struggling more than Gordon's tyres as Ollie picks up his first 3-second time penalty of the day. But Rio still eating into Gordon's time, so Gordon looking in his mirrors very shortly as El Prat picks up a time penalty there. As Kevin Kell on the rear of Sluskar, and does Rio come into the box? And he's going to stay out. He's lost about half a second there to Gordon out of the final corner. As Kevin now on the rear of Sluskar trying to find a way through. Sluskar yet to box as Kevin being patient trying to find a way through. As into the box comes Ollie and Craig as the DRS now will be active for Kevin Kell. Unfortunately, Sluskar doesn't get any DRS to defend this position. But Kevin Kell now up into P5. He's doing a two-stop here. As Ollie also doing a two-stop after boxing early. The one-stoppers will go around lap 14 to 16 as Sluskar makes a big mistake, opens the door to El Prat, who may get through now on the inside. And here you have it, El Prat through into P6. Good recovery drive from Fakiri. He unfortunately did pick up lap 1 damage, but he has been fighting his way back up to the through the pack here. As Craig now on the rear of Haters. Meanwhile, Ollie on the rear of Thori. Is Ollie going to go for a send? Thori just going to let him through into turn 12. Ollie going to grab DRS of Sluskar as Rio, Hemi, Oxer all come in off the medium tyres. What tyres do they pick though? Fresh mediums for Rio and Hemi. Meanwhile, Oxer onto the hards. What will Gordon do? Will he try the one-stop or the two-stop? Surely the two-stop's more effective here as Rio exits the box firmly in P2. And Rio will be on the charge for the remainder of the race as Ollie now going to go for a late send on Sluskar. Mega late dive bomb from Ollie. And a fantastic move as the Ferrari gets through into P6. What a brave send there from Ollie. And making his way through. Meanwhile, Hemi Dimes on the rear of El Prat. Gonna have to be more measured as El Prat leaves the track there. Hemi all over the rear of the Red Bulls. The Red Bull rejoining the circuit. Hemi now potentially losing time in behind the Red Bull here on the older hard tyres. As El Prat goes defensive to the inside, it's Hemi on the outside. Side by side they go through turn 12. So El Prat leaves the track there. Ollie going to go for a brave move on around the outside. Going to look for the switchback, does Ollie. As El Prat made a bit of a mistake through turn 12, which left him vulnerable into turn 13. Ollie now has jumped onto the rear of the Red Bull now. Got DRS. Both of them got DRS. Drag race now down to turn 1. Ollie gets ahead. Can El Prat get ahead? He's got nothing left in the battery to try and stay ahead. Meanwhile, we've got Kelly Cannell on the rear of Craig Conley. Can Kelly Cannell find a way through as Thori and Franz Herman into the box? But Kelly Cannell, can he find a way through on Craig now? Into turn 1, Kelly goes, cuts the inside though, contact with Craig and damage for Craig. Misjudgment there from the Alpine, and Craig with damage here on lap 11. As Kelly going to try and fight back into turn 4, but not close enough in order to make a move. But Kelly now trying to find away through the middle sector. Craig's going to be a bit compromised because of that damage. And Craig, unfortunately, 2 laps old on those hards, so he's only really at the start of his stint when he's picked up that damage. That's going to hurt him a lot here. Meanwhile, Haters, former SSR champion, now has joined the back of these two. And Haters now going to look for way through, and Kelly Cannell leaves the track there. Definitely picked up a warning as he gets onto the inside of Kelly Cannell, but Kelly keeps it ahead as Haters now on the rear of the Alpine. Kelly goes deep though, Haters all over the rear of the Alpine. As the Alpine desperately defending. But can Haters now get a good exit out of the final corner and plant the throttle here. DRS and ERS engaged on the rear of the Alpine. The Alpine already flashing down the main straight. Surely Haters has got to see that and go for the move down into turn 1 as Haters sends it down into turn 1. Outbreaks the Alpine and gets through into P12. Haters now on the rear of Craig if he can maximise his exit, but Haters around and Haters in the wall and Haters with front wing damage, and Haters unfortunately got too overzealous on the throttle as Oxer on the side of Sluskarn leaves the track there. A bit of a legal overtake, but yeah, interesting. As Sluskarn going to get back through again on the McLaren, who may have to let him through because of that potentially illegal overtake. Meanwhile, AMS Apple has rejoined the party as Hemi Dime's going to get ahead of Kevin Kell there as these two battle into the final corner. AMS Apple trying to be cautious as contact with the Mercedes of Sluskarn as he was trying to enter the box there. He went a lot longer on his stint there as AMS Apple had a little bit of contact with him. Meanwhile, Haters leaves this session. AMS Apple on the rear of the McLaren, trying to find a way through on Oxer, who still has DRS here to defend from the move. Meanwhile, Hemi now 7 seconds off Rio Harris, trying to charge after the Cyber at the minute. As Apple on the rear of Oxer through the middle sector. Apple actually with 4 lap older hards, but we know he is on a pace in the tank. Essentially the pole lap time. But decided to disqualify himself and start from the back. Meanwhile, Kelly on the rear of Craig again as Dory one bit deep on the rear of this battle as well. As Haters says he lagged out, so we'll try and get Haters back in again. As Kelly gets through on Craig into turn 12. Thory looking down the inside of Craig. Craig going to keep it ahead of Thory as they all battle here. Meanwhile, Apple going to get cleanly down the inside of the McLaren and into P8 now. As Thory on the rear of Craig. Craig on the rear of Kelly Cannell. As they all battle down the straight. They may go either side of the McLaren, or both down the inside they go. And Kelly Cannell losing 2 places in the space of 1 corner. As Craig goes extremely deep there. As Thory gets through. And Craig now completely missed his braking point there into turn 1. As Kelly going to try and find a way back through on the McLaren. Meanwhile, A54's also joined this battle. Abe in the Red Bull. But who can find a way through, we will see. Big mistake there from Craig, and that allows Kelly through. As, oh, Abe on the side of Craig, and Abe with a far too late move. And into the side of Craig, and contact and around he goes as Apple gets through on Lanky. Yellow flag out. Well, even before Abe has contact, is Zampa around here as well. But Apple now going to pull a gap now to Lanky potentially if Lanky can hold on these mediums. As Ollie on the hards inside DRS range now of Kevin Kell. As Zampa retires in the pit lane as well. As Kevin makes a little mistake into turn 12. Ollie going to be patient, though, going to wait to get DRS down the main straight out of turn 15. And Kevin actually going to come in now for his final pit stop. And did he go in a bit early? Got to do 20 laps on the hards now. That's going to be a bit of a stint, considering he's only able to really do 7 on the mediums there. That is a bit surprising from Kevin there. Meanwhile, good to mention Gordon. He's fully on the one stop. He's on lap 16 on these hards. If he can get it going to lap 20 or even further, he'll just be on the mediums to the end, and Gordon doing this one stop could be in with a very strong race and potentially his first win since Qatar in the penultimate round of the season, in season 5, as Oxer gets ahead of Lanky. Lanky going to try and fight back ahead of the McLaren, as that was a bit of a strange desync. As Hader's trying to get back into the lobby, but he apparently struggling tonight. As Craig appears to have finally lost DRS to Kelly Cannell. That front wing damage just hurting too much. As Lanky trying to hold on to the rear of Oxer ahead of him. As Apple almost onto the rear of El Prat, who's been having a very strong race despite his earlier damage. But Apple almost inside DRS range here. This is the closest battle. We've still got the final pit stops to do. Rio and Hemi Dimes definitely have to go on to another set of tyres. Ollie, I would assume, would need to go on to the hards or mediums next. Apple will have to come in again as well. Meanwhile, Gordon hasn't done any stops so far. Gordon currently trying to do the one stop, and currently it's been quite strong for him. I think if Gordon does try and extend to around lap 22 and go to the end, I think he'd be in a very strong position until the end of this race. Rio now still 8.5 seconds off Gordon, despite Gordon not boxing yet in this race, as AMS Apple now sizing up El Prat, who on his new Fanatec wheel, which looked very spendy, may I add. I haven't looked at how spendy it was, but let's just say quite spendy. And as a result, we've seen El Prat's pace skyrocket here. Got P2 in qualifying, but AMS Apple now down ahead of El Prat. As Lanky comes in for his final pit stop. Still a couple pit stops yet to do, but Sluskarn on the rear of Craig now. With DRS, can the Mercedes get ahead of Craig? And he does just that. As Craig now on the rear of Sluskarn, who's on the 5-lap old hards. Lanky on fresh hards, with Franz Hermann in behind. His haters finally rejoins, but he is 40 seconds down off the pack, so bit of a struggle race for haters, unfortunately, on his return. As Craig now trying to stay with Sluskarn Despite his damage, maybe Craig gotta think about trying to box, although he did get that damage very early on into his stint. So may have to go a bit longer before swapping to the mediums and getting a new front wing put on that Mercedes, or that McLaren. He will soon have Lanky for company as well, as Lanky may even get DRS here. Craig doesn't get a good enough exit, but I think Craig has kept him at bay for now, as Sluskard closing to the rear of Cali Canal as well. As the Mercedes goes very deep though into turn 4, that's going to allow the likes of Craig and Lanky close back up again to the rear of the Mercedes, as the Mercedes is trying to catch the Alpine of Cali Canal. But Lanky now putting pressure on Craig, and Lanky got so much more grip due to Craig's front wing damage. And also Lanky on the much fresher hard tyres. He's all over the rear of Craig, as Haters is retired from the session in the box. Lanky going to get round the outside of Craig into turn 12 and ahead of the McLaren. Meanwhile, Sluskard as Cali Canal comes in for his final pit stop, Sluskard extends on. Lanky still has now pulled the gap from Craig, and is going to now try and head after Sluskard in P10. As Kevin Kell now on the rear of Oxer, and Rio Harris now coming in what is potentially for his final pit stop. Meanwhile, Gordon hasn't done his first. Hilariously enough, Hemi Dime's going to follow Rio into the box. As, oh my lord, what happened there? That was very strange. Kevin Kell getting ahead of Oxer. Oxer just breaking on the racing line. That was very strange. But Kevin now through, as the McLaren trying to stay with Kevin, but may struggle. Doesn't have the same grip of these fresher tyres that the Alpine has on Kevin Kell. And Kevin now on the rear. Of Hemi Dimes, but Hemi Dimes on the 5-lap fresher hards, as Hemi Dimes has El Prat for company next, as Gordon finally comes in off his hard tyres, but Gordon should inherit the lead, as Hemi Dimes got such a better exit than El Prat. Gonna go straight down the inside into turn 12, and Hemi Dimes now up into P5. But this is the thing though, Rio's, because he was able to get through the traffic early in the race, Hemi's had a much tougher job later in the race. He's been caught in traffic multiple times, and that's allowing Rio to escape from Hemi Dimes here. And Hemi is now a good 10 seconds off Rio Harris. So Hemi realistically has no chance at catching Rio at this point. Can Rio catch Gordon by the end? 5 seconds is the difference, as Gordon are going to use these mediums to the end. They should be somewhat strong to the end, but if Rio has pace towards the end of the race, as Lanky gets ahead of Sluskard, and neither of them seem to have DRS. This is a bit strange. Anyway, Gordon now on the rear of Ollie on 13-lap old hards, and Gordon surely going to get by Ollie very quickly. Earlier in the race, Ollie was battling for P2, or well, actually for the lead of the race. He was in P2 and battling with Gordon, but now the race seems to have changed. And Gordon now all over the rear of Ollie. Gordon now kind of blow by the Ferrari. Down the main straight he goes. Meanwhile, AMS Apple in for his final stop. Kevin Kell now going to try and get ahead of El Prat, who will possibly need to make another pit stop. As El Prat gets through, Oxer on the rear now of the Red Bull. They go for a late move into turn 1, but too late to try and get ahead of El Prat. As Oxer going to try and find a way through. If he can, as Thori into the box as well. You know, El Prat leaves the road. That's allowed Oxer an opportunity here to get ahead. It's allowed Kevin Kell to disappear down the road as Oxer trying to stay with the Red Bull here. As Gordon sets the fastest lap now, Rio almost inside DRS range of Ollie. And this is the race here. Can Gordon keep Rio at bay until the end, or will Rio catch Gordon? They're on similar tyres. Gordon should have the pace early on, but towards the end, Rio will have stronger hard tyres. So this really is anyone's game. It comes down to really who the quicker driver is. As El Prat now going to come in off those 19 lap old hards. It's Gordon now trying to be composed on his mediums, really protecting them, as Rio now on the rear of Ollie, as that's Franz Hermann, I believe, on the soft tyres, just skating by both of them. And Franz actually may help Ollie get some DRS to defend from Rio here. That may help him keep Rio at bay for another lap. Rio going to try and get ahead here regardless. He does have 12 lap fresher hards. It's going to be difficult for Ollie to defend from even with DRS. And now, with the DRS enabled, Rio's surely going to get ahead even before the rear wing is open. Just showing you how much grip is in those fresher hards. As the McLaren of Craig Connolly unfortunately been lapped following him fixing his front wing. As El Prat now on the rear of Sloscar and Cali Canel on the rear of A54. And can El Prat find a way through? He has, exiting the final corner. It's a drag race now down the main straight. Who has enough battery? El Prat now trying to dump the battery. Has DRS as well to try and pull ahead of the Mercedes. And El Prat gets that move done now into P9. As Kelly Canel now on the rear of A54 as well. Charging with DRS down to turn 1. May look for a move on the inside, does Kelly. Brakes side by side with Ayub. A little bit of contact between the Alpine and the Red Bull. As turn 3 they go and around and almost into the wall, and there is contact. Ayub and Kelly Canel contact. And Kelly into the wall there. As Ollie into the box for his medium pit stop. But Kelly survives the incident, although sure not happy with it after contact with Ayub there. Meanwhile, Kelly back on the rear of Ayub, going to try and get back ahead now as Rio picks up his first 3-second time penalty of the day. That'll certainly hurt him. Was into the rear. Goes the Alpine of Callie Cannell there. And Gordon has a 4-second lead over Rio. And even if Gordon is caught by Rio, if he can hold on to DRS, he could keep the win. Because of that Rio 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, Callie Cannell now on the rear of Abe, going to blow right by in the Alpine. And this time, get ahead with the help of DRS. As AMS Apple now in the rear of Oxer. El Prat as well involved. As Oxer almost fainting to go into the pit lane there, and Apple now going to get straight on through on the McLaren now, DRS enabled, and down the main straight we go. And Apple through. Meanwhile, El Prat on the inside of the Sauber of Lanky, and it looked like Lanky almost losing the rear there round the final corner. Meanwhile, Franz Hermann joining the rear of Thori, almost loses the car through the final sector. As we see Thori leave the track up ahead. Meanwhile, Ollie on the rear of Kevin Kelk, trying to search for a way through. And down the inside, Ollie's going to go. Brave move here. And he makes that move. Ollie through up into P4. Ollie with a strong race today. And Kevin fortunate enough to let the Ferrari by. Meanwhile, Rio 2.8 behind Gordon. He is certainly catching at a very strong rate here. The issue is, can Gordon hold on to Rio's DRS until the end, because that would essentially nullify Rio's great racing here. Because of the as Franz Hermann suddenly gets a 10-second penalty while battling with Dory. Not quite sure how that's happened, but Franz Hermann through into P12 now, as Oxer into the box as well for his final pit stop. But Rio now, that 3-second time penalty could be costly until the end of the race. Meanwhile, Lanky on the rear of El Prat as well. El Prat though with much better mediums here. Can he pull a gap now? And a P7 in this race would be very strong for Fakiri if he can pull it off, as Thori and Franz Hermann come together there. Franz Hermann around at the final corner. And contact potentially between Thori and Franz Hermann. Not quite sure what we've seen there. Franz unhappy with that and retires from the session. As El Prat still trying to pull a gap from Lanky. Lanky trying to still hold on to the DRS now if he can. And it seems El Prat now has pulled the gap to Lanky. Lanky going to try and stay. Phase Synergy in the chat says I have zero grip but wanted to try a new setup. Well, on this game, setups can be very very difficult to try and manage. There's some races where your setup will seem to work fine, and then others it feels like it's absolute understeer city. So unlucky, but we'll see as time progresses. Can Rio catch Gordon here? And who has dialed in their setups even better here? Rio looking very strong on these hard tyres. Gordon's mediums may start to hit the cliff soon, which could allow Rio into DRS, but the issue is Rio does have that 3-second time penalty that might be gutting for him, because Rio He's had such a strong race. Definitely a driver of the day performance. But will he win is the question as he heads down the road after Gordon here. As Rio might already have DRS ahead of Gordon, as Gordon appears to slow up just to try and ensure he gets DRS from the Alpine ahead, that lapped car of Kelly Cannell. Meanwhile, Rio now is in closing distance of Gordon now. Gordon will get DRS off the Alpine ahead to help him defend for this lap, but Rio might be looking punchy very, very soon. And the sooner Rio can get out of Gordon, the sooner he can start to build that 3-second gap he needs to win. And what a win it would be for Rio. We've seen before in last pre-season, Rio had a dominant Singapore win. Could this be another win? But this time he started from the back after getting disqualified in qualifying. Could Rio potentially bag a win here? On the rear of Gordon, trying to search for a way through, as Gordon trying to protect his position with all his might. Oh, but it makes a big error there. Big mistake there from Gordon. May have picked up a warning for sure. As lost the rear. Exiting the S's out of turn 10. His rear just stepped out and just had to cut turn 11 to make sure he survived. But that may have opened the door now to Rio. As the DRS games have started, Rio may have just got the DRS there. We'll have to see as we exit the final corner who got the DRS there. As Rio gets ahead now of Gordon. Gordon going to try and dump the battery, and both of them have it because of the lapped car. Both of them have DRS. That could have been a mistake from Gordon there to allow them through. And Rio now into the lead of the race, but can Rio build a gap now to Gordon? Can Gordon stay with Rio until the end? Rio's got 4 laps to pull a gap as Gordon washes out wide. Is he struggling already in that dirty air? Gordon's not had to deal with the dirty air the whole race. Now he's finally faced with it. How much of a struggle would be on that Aston Martin? Can the Sauber escape DRS here? As Gordon's rears seem to be sliding, overheating. Can he stay with Rio? Rio may already have the gap as AMS Apple gets ahead of Kevin Kell down into turn 1. Meanwhile, El Prat also swapping with Lanky. They may re-swap again as Gordon, 10-second time penalty. Wow. And just like that, Gordon's thrown away the win. Oh. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Anyway. Well, it is a pre-season race. I suppose Gordon's happy getting disqualified. I don't know. Oh. And he's away. Anyway, looks like Rio has this in the bag. Hemi Dames getting P2 potentially. Meanwhile, Ollie going to try and fend off the podium as Gordon appears to just have given up towards the end here. But Hemi going to get straight through on Gordon. Gordon's got no front wing as Gordon does the Hamilton line and picks up loads of penalties. 53 seconds! 53 seconds. A minute! A minute of penalties! I've never seen that in my whole life! A minute! And he got another 10-second. An entire minute. I have never seen that in my whole life. A minute of penalties. That is impressive. I didn't know that was possible in the game, but you know, you learn something new every day. That's insane. Anyway, back to the action here. Oxer on the rear of Sluskar has the better mediums. Can he go for a move down into turn 1? Almost into the rear. Does he have damage? I don't think he does. But bumped the rear of the Mercedes. As they battle now Out of turn 3, and Oxcar going to get ahead of Sluskar, and Sluskar going to look back down the inside again, but can't find any room. And it might just be trying to make it to the end here from Sluskar. On these old hards as Oxcar now out of DRS almost, but pulled back in again as Rio picks up another 3-second time penalty. As Thori trying to stay with Craig, picks up a warning for sure. A lot of drivers just absolutely cutting the track. They've given up for the day, it seems. They just couldn't be bothered staying inside track limits. As Thori now on the rear of Craig. Craig was a little deep through turn 13. That may open the door to Thori. Although, even though he will make the move, that I'm sure the DRS may play a factor here. As Thori on the rear of Craig, trying to search for way through. Meanwhile, we also have AMS Apple now in the rear of Ollie. Here on the penultimate lap of the race, Ollie, unfortunately with penalties, it could be a bit of a... Oh, as Thori and Craig dive into turn 4. And Thori gets ahead of Craig there. Craig not happy with that move as Hemi about to lap these two. Can AMS Apple stay with Ollie? Although AMS Apple seems to have made some sort of mistake or lost about half a second there to Ollie, but may have regained it again. Ollie trying to pull a gap, but Apple may have this position regardless because of the time penalties. But I'm sure Apple, for his pride, wants to try and get ahead of Ollie here as Lanky picks up a 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, Craig and Thori swap again. Craig back ahead of Thori. As Apple now on the rear of Ollie will have DRS on the final lap. Can Apple get ahead of Ollie down into turn 1? And Ollie's gone offensive to the inside, but Apple on the outside going to get straight on through on Ollie. Can Ollie try and find a way back through an Apple? Just not close enough to the rear of the Haas. As Ollie searching for a way back through again, but just doesn't have the traction on those medium tyres. And the Haas is surely going to pull a gap here and cement his place on the podium. All three drivers who got disqualified in qualifying will end up on the podium, especially Rio Harris, who, one of the drivers who got disqualified in qualifying, has had a dominant race. Was battling with Gordon, and Gordon just decided to absolutely give up and throw in the towel. Didn't even want to try, it seemed, and Rio, as he rounds the final corner, will win the first preseason race here in Mexico. Brilliant, dominant victory there for Rio as Thori and Craig battle to the line, and Craig around and in the wall, and Thori gonna finish ahead of Craig as a result after that battle. And meanwhile, Hemi into P2, AMS Apple on debut onto the podium, despite his couple of spins. Just his pace shone through in the end, and the AMS driver gets a debut podium here in WHF in the first preseason race before Season 6 as Ollie picks up P4, followed by Kevin Kell. Next it's Lanky, El Pratt, Oxer and Sluskart. But there you have it. Rio in the chat, absolutely loving life after winning that one. As Applechat says, Dam will take 21 seconds behind the lead after extra pit stop. Yeah, it was an unfortunate race for Apple, but I'm sure Apple's pace shown through there in qualifying, you could see, is a lot in hand. But Rio, also another driver with a lot in hand. Rio, if you had so much fun, because, you know, where we have fun F1, and that's what we have. you might as well, sign up, Rio, if you're listening, go to the Touching Grass channel. Sure, we'll interview you. Sure, for the race for the bands. Wasn't intending on doing interviews, but sure we will. And Rio has forgotten to leave his front or his steering wheel back in the car. He took it to the podium with him. Someone take it off him. As a very strong win for you, Rio. How'd that race go for you?
I don't think it could have gone better. Me and Himmy Dive was like, this is just some fun. It's pre-season. Start from the back. I didn't expect to get to P6 by lap 3. It was literally McQueen is in the wreckage. Oh, so fun.
Yeah, you did mention that you had so much fun. So my question is, why not sign up for the season?
Yeah, I always drop out mid-season.
I know, but imagine you just stay in. You could genuinely win the title.
Oh yeah, but there's a man called Cookie here, mate.
Oh well, Cookie actually hasn't signed up yet, so we're kind of.
Oh, I'm signing up.
We're kind of waiting to see what he's doing. If he doesn't sign up, then it's all for the taking. Also, Star and the Save, the 3 quickest drivers from last season, all appear to be MIA this season. So there is gonna be a real shout for the championship between many drivers. And yes, Hemi, that's right. The 3 quickest drivers from last season, all MIA. So the championship could go any direction. But Hemi...
Well, I'm just saying, because you didn't mention me as one of the fastest. Now I'm sad.
Well...
He's not wrong.
I'm sad now.
I mean...
Oh, well, fuck you.
I mean, to be fair, Hemi, I did finish ahead of you in the championship, so like...
Probably, I won, though.
I don't know, but
I missed 2 races.
Skill issue? I don't know. Anyway, Hemi, you did have a very strong race there, starting from the back. One of the 3 disqualified drivers in quali. How'd that race go for you?
It was very interesting. I decided to sit back at turn 1, watch everyone just kill each other. Yeah, pretty much. I had a lot of fun with that, just getting through everyone. Just fucking... It was enjoyable. And it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, so I said, why not?
Mm-hmm. That woke you up.
No, I was awake watching the Premier League, mate, so...
Alright.
But, yeah. I had some somewhat okay battles. Didn't last very long, because they were all just on the straight, but...
3, though.
Oh. But yeah, it's fun.
Well, that has been us here at WHF here in the first pre-season race, and we'll possibly do another pre-season race next week before the start of the season.
Singapore.
We'll see what is decided by the staff, but for those of you who haven't signed up yet, please do. The sign-ups close next week on the 8th of November, and we're actually relatively close to 3 tiers. We're on 52 sign-ups, so if 8 more people sign up, we could genuinely be doing 3 tiers, which I hadn't honestly thought about, but could happen. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, Rio wins the sprint along with Hemi Dimes in P2.
The sprint?
Or wins the social race. As Hemi Dimes finishes P2 and Apple gets a debut podium as well. But anyway, thank you all for watching. We're going to find someone to raid on our way out. I've been WHF. I hope you've all enjoyed. And we are going to raid... Fantastic Boy, who has been streaming for 5 hours. Dear Lord.
Jesus Christ.
He deserves this raid, even though...
You can't say much after your 5 hours stream.
I don't think it'll matter. I think he's speaking in like Russian or Eastern European, whatever this language is. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.
Ciao. That was so